So I just saw this post from my mutual I Heart Erica on Instagram, and it reads, I noticed that people were able to critique Mamdani in a way where they were heard, myself included. When Kamala was critiqued, folks were quick to shut it down. I think Mamdani's win shows that it's necessary to actually hear people's concerns and not flippantly shut them down. The entire election, that was my point. The entire election was my point. And it's exactly why Marjorie Taylor Greene is priming herself in the way that she is. We could say that it's a grift. We could say that this change of opinion has to do with wanting to win an election. We could say a whole ton of things. I'm sorry, it's hard to talk. My mouth is numb. I just had a root canal. We could say all those things, but what I can also say as a communicator is what she's doing will work. Because she's employing like the demonstration of growth in the public eye. Not just growth, but growth that is reflected in the base of the Republican Party. Like, by the data, people forget that Palestine gained support amongst Republicans as well. Now, not as much support as people on the left, but they still gained support from Republicans who were disgusted with what was going on, the genocide. And so the motivation behind why she's saying and doing what she's saying and doing is not really going to impact her ability to grow and learn alongside of the people that are supporting her, because they see her new change as a reflection of their change. She's learning and growing in tandem with them. Her change in direction is going to be seen as a reflection of her constituents in her own policy ideas, which essentially is the exact same idea that John Mamdani employed throughout his entire election. That's why it was brilliant for him to do on-the-street interviews with people, even as he was polling at 2%. Because it's not just about being visible as a candidate, it's about being visible and lending that visibility to the ideas and platforms that people want you to promote as a candidate. And the more that people stand in the way in between those two things, between the candidate and their constituency, even amidst criticism and pushback and questions, that means you're completely cutting off the ability for that candidate to garner respect from their constituency. Because people forget that that conversation is still a conversation and an opportunity to be heard by somebody who is seeking power over that person. And amidst a political landscape where our political leaders are entrenched in billion-dollar super PACs and are actively demonstrating that they don't want to listen to the American people, that type of strategy is the complete inverse of learning and growing with your constituency. So you may listen. So you could think it's a grift all you want to, but it's immaterial to the effectiveness of the strategy behind what she's doing.
The president says there's virtually no inflation and that grocery prices are going down. Do you agree with him on that?
No, I go to the grocery store myself. Grocery prices remain high. Energy prices are high. My electricity bills are higher here in Washington, D.C. at my apartment, and they're also higher at my house in Rome, Georgia, higher than they were a year ago. So affordability is a problem, and I think the American people showed that on Tuesday. You're not going to convince them to go to the polls and vote by bailing out Argentina, and you're not going to convince them to go to the polls and vote by continuing to fund foreign wars and foreign countries and foreign causes. You're going to get them to go to the polls and vote when you show up to work and actually fix the problems that they face every single day.
You said you're critical of the Israeli government, but you are not anti-Semitic. Mm-hmm. Most people now believe that if you criticize the Israeli government, you are anti-Semitic. Do you disagree with that?
Actually, I disagree with
Or I should say many people.
I would say that tide has completely changed. Mm-hmm. I think many Americans today see the difference is you can love Jewish Americans and you can love Jewish people and not be critical of people at all. Mm-hmm. And you can, I have the right to criticize a foreign government. Right. And I can criticize as many of them as I want. Yeah. And I can say October 7th was the worst thing and horrific, but I can equally say starving children and killing innocent people and children in Gaza is also horrible. And that's my opinion.
AIPAC attacking you, sending out fundraising emails.
AIPAC, you know what? You can bring it on. I am totally ready for this. And this is a fight that I will fight and I will give it my all. And I can guarantee you, you're going to lose because America is fed up, Matt. They're fed up to here with funding foreign wars, funding foreign causes, funding foreign countries, while Americans work their ass off every day and pay their taxes and come home and they're living paycheck to paycheck and their credit cards are maxed out. I don't care anymore. I honestly don't care. So I'll burn this bridge to the ground and I will let the flames light the way, and because this is a fight that needs to happen.
If we were still in Congress, I would just say I associate myself with the comments of the gentlelady from Georgia, because everything you said there is factual and true.
And then keep your eye out on MTG. She's all over The View, CNN. You know, she actually sounds like a normal person. And then she posts this and it's like, oh yeah, she's a nut. Marjorie Taylor Greene. If you don't understand yesterday's election results, here are the groups that Republicans have disenfranchised. The America First, America Only, which I might remind you, keep this up, Kylie. It's not because she gives a shit about gay kids or black and brown people. It's because she wants Christian nationalism. And yes, she's upset that the United States is sending money to Argentina and Israel. And as am I. I am also upset about that. But I am upset because there are war crimes being committed, human rights violations, you know, corruption at the highest order. Hers is Christian nationalism. And then Maha's in full force and effect, Marge. You know why I know that? Because measles are skyrocketing, the highest levels in modern history. And then Americans are suffering from the high cost of living, rising food and energy prices, and leaving them out to dry with no plans on skyrocketing healthcare premiums. Okay, correct.
You think of the reason for MTG changing her tune lately? Is it honest or is it part of a greater ploy? Here's some tea for you. MTG, people are like, oh my God, she's saying all of these things. Like, what's gotten into her lately? Oh, like she's bucking against Trump. She's bucking against the administration. Marjorie Taylor Greene wanted to run for Senate in Georgia. She wanted to run for Senate earlier this year in the state of Georgia. She wanted to be the Republican nominee for Senate. So she was gearing up for that statewide race, and Trump told her no. Trump said no. And the White House and Trump land shut down Marjorie Taylor Greene's personal ambitions to run for Senate. And she has been on a revenge tour ever since. And so all of this stuff that you're like, oh my God, like, it is all personally motivated. All of this stuff is personally motivated. There is no signs of revelation that I see up close. This is not a person that is backing up anything of what they're saying with any sort of action, which gives the whole game away. This is a person that is trying to twist the knife on people who frustrated her personal ambition. And until that is the story, and until any one of these little public statements or media statements is actually backed up by a genuine change in policy position, I'm just not going to, and not just a change in policy position, but a commitment to that change, I'm just not going to buy it. I welcome it. I think it's never too late to change. But you know, I just don't buy it. Someone said, but speaking out is also action, right? Maybe the revenge tour is opening her eyes a little bit. Maybe it is opening her eyes. Speaking out, I think for everyday people, speaking out is action. But when you are in a position of power like she is, you have to not just talk the talk, you have to walk the walk. And so if you are an everyday person that's speaking out, it's not to diminish the power of that. but she has a vote in Congress. She has the power to introduce legislation. She has the ability to vote for things and vote against things. And despite all of this hunky-dory stuff that she's doing, her vote record is what speaks for itself. And she consistently votes against healthcare, and she consistently votes on the side of advancing corporations. So don't be fooled, is what I'd say there.
Shortly after she arrived in Washington, the Democratic-led House ousted her from her committees because of her past endorsement of violence against some Democratic leaders and her history of embracing QAnon that she explained in a speech on the House floor.
I stumbled across something, and this was at the end of 2017, called QAnon. I was allowed to believe things that weren't true, and that is absolutely what I regret. Well, I apologize to my colleagues. I think apologies are important.
Okay, did you ever apologize to Nancy Pelosi about the bullet to her head?
I didn't say that, so I don't need to apologize for words that weren't mine.
Didn't you like it?
Other people also ran my social media. I don't think I did that.
Are you saying that you don't stand by what's on your social media?
Well, of course I stand for what's on my social media, but at times you're not always in control. We have all kinds of people that work on our social media.
Did you apologize for your position on Parkland, Florida?
What was my position on Parkland, Florida?
That it was a false flag?
I don't know if you actually have my position. No, I never said Parkland was a false flag.
Did you?
No, I've never said that. School shootings are horrible. I don't think it's anything to joke about.
We fact-checked before I got to this interview.
Have you fact-checked all my statements from kindergarten through 12th grade and in college, and as I've paid my taxes and never broken a law? And I got a few speeding tickets. Do we need to talk about those too? Because I think where you're going down is the same attacks that people have attacked me with over and over and over.
Well, if this is what you're known for, I think it's good that you're responding to the charges. I think it's a legitimate
because
thing
people
for us to
constantly focus on it, but never focus on anything good about me.
David, why are you supporting the red flag laws? You are using your lobby and the money behind it and the kids to try to take away my Second Amendment rights. You don't have anything to say for yourself? If school zones were protected with security guards with guns, there would be no mass shootings at schools.
Let me ask you something. Would you chase after a kid who survived a mass shooting, asking him why he doesn't want more guns? Seriously, think about it. I don't care how Second Amendment you are. I'm a gun owner too. Would you do that? Bragging that you are doing it with a weapon on you as you antagonize this kid? And who's doing it? That woman thinks putting bullets in Nancy Pelosi is something to play with. And she wonders why anyone would question people like her getting a concealed carry permit. You are the reason for red flag laws, lady.
The media has defamed me. They have completely smeared my character, called me names, and labeled me horrible things, none of which I am.
Seth Rich. Seth Rich was murdered by 2 MS-13 gang members. Q is a patriot. We know that for sure. We had witnessed 9/11, right? We had witnessed 9/11, the terrorist attack in New York, and the plane that crashed in Pennsylvania, and the so-called plane that crashed into the Pentagon. It's odd, there's never any evidence shown for a plane in the Pentagon.
I've got a question for you. How do you get avid gun owners and people that support the Second Amendment to give up their guns and go along with anti-gun legislation? Maybe you accomplish that by performing a mass shooting into a crowd. Is that what happened in Las Vegas? Is that why the country music festival was targeted?
During Barack Obama's presidency. Yes, I do believe he is a Muslim.
There's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to take this global cable of Satan-worshiping pedophiles out.
I can be your voice in Congress. I'm my district's voice, and I'm actually the voice for most Americans because people agree with me and tell me all the time.
We even know that now from the JFK files that President Johnson was a member of the KKK.
Mm-hmm.
One of our presidents of the United States, and that was in the 1960s. So you're absolutely right. I mean, the Democratic Party has to hide their bigotry, and they have to hide basically their racism.
What purpose is the gentlelady from Georgia rise?
I don't want any of that screw talk stuff.
For what purpose is the gentlelady from Georgia rise?
Madam Speaker, is the member designated? And the treatment is unbelievable. They are told they have to denounce President Trump. They are told that their views are the views of cult members, even though these are men that every single night at 9 o'clock at night, they put their hand over their heart and sing the national anthem voluntarily. Government. But somehow the communists here in charge have forgotten, or no, not forgotten, are purposely abusing the Constitution and what this body of Congress is supposed to do.
To equality under the law, and we are not communists, as the gentlelady from Georgia suggested. That's just the friends of the former president who you lionize, like the dictator of North Korea, who he loves, and Vladimir Putin, who said that the greatest tragedy of the 20th century was the collapse of the Soviet Union. So those are your friends. Don't put them on our side. They're saying that the January
are let out when they're being force-fed gluten food and they have celiac disease. And so the food that they eat makes them sick every single day to the point when they're being force-fed gluten food and they have celiac disease. And so the food that they eat makes them sick every single day to the point where they will go without days without eating in order to just feel better because they are not given better food. I think we can clearly see that there is serious abuse happening here, and we can go beyond the silly-dilly political games. I think we need to break down to the fact.
I'm going to use every single bit of my energy to organize the American people so they absolutely understand who their enemies are. And if their enemies have a R in front of their name, then that's fine. If their enemies have a D in front of their name, that is absolutely fine. But you cannot stop the American people. You cannot stop them. And the American people don't even have to be violent to take these people down. All they have to do is get organized with the proper information, and they can take them out in elections, and they can take them down by making sure that none of these people get any money of donations, and they can continue to take down the fake news media with you, Steve Bannon, and your show, and many others that are creating good content.
KDK of BBC in that piece specifically says you've made up all these things, critical race theory, the vaccine mandates, that you've created all these false narratives, right, to stir people up. What do you have to say about that?
We haven't made anything up. We told the truth. We've absolutely told the truth, and we're going to continue to tell the truth. And let me tell you something. This is going to be a long-term war in our country. And it doesn't have to be a bloody war, but it is a war that we have to continue to fight. We've heard a lot about text messages. I'd like the Democrats and the people on the January 6th committee to produce their text messages, Mr. Speaker, denouncing Antifa BLM riots that raged across American cities for a year. I would love to read those. You were talking about these tweets or these text messages that Liz Cheney just loves reading out loud about Fox News employees and about members of Congress, texting Mark Meadows and saying, you know, that we want the riot to stop. President Trump should ask these people to stop. That's a good thing. Typically, you want a president of the United States to tell rioters to stop, which he did. But this is what's happening throughout this whole process.
Okay, the chair rules that those words that were spoken are not going to be stricken from the record.
Mr. Chair.
The gentleman from Mississippi is recognized.
I don't think there's any question about what the gentlelady said. I've been on this committee from day one. We've never had an accusation made of any member like that. And I'm appalled at it. We all ought to be embarrassed at it. We are a better committee than what the gentlelady is trying to make of this committee. So I appeal the ruling of the chair.
The ruling of the chair has been appealed. We will now, gentleman moves.
Mr. Chairman, a point of order.
Yeah. right over here. Could you explain what part of those words are not engaging in personalities and what the basis of your ruling is? No, we're going to let the vice chair take over the committee at this point. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move to table the motion.
There's been a motion to table. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no.
No.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the motion to table is agreed to.
Mr. Chair,
The gentleman is recognized.
I request a recorded vote.
A recorded.
What about step out of the way, please? You're blocking a member of Congress.
Excuse me, ma'am.
You're blocking a member of Congress. Step out of the way, please. You're blocking a member of Congress.
Anybody else?
Should the defense secretary?
What country are you? Wait, what country are you from?
The UK.
Okay, we don't give a crap about your opinion and your reporting. Why don't you go back to your country where you have a major migrant problem? And you no. You should care about your own borders.
Do you care about American lives being put at risk?
Let me tell you something. Do you care about people from your country? What about all the women that are raped by migrants?
Do you care
No,
about
by migrants. No, do you care? Okay, you're done.
Do you care about
not-
American lives
no.
being put at risk?
You know what? I don't
about
care. I don't.
service members fighting for your country.
I don't care about
and
your
vice
fake news.
president
Do you have a
and your
relevant
defense
question?
secretary.
Yeah, this is an American journalist. Thank you.
I'm an American and I'd like to hear.
And you may not understand simply because you're not an American, but we fully understand because we're proud American gun owners, and it's our job to defend the Second Amendment.
But I understand that we don't have guns in the UK, that is true, but we don't have mass shootings either. Children aren't scared to go to
You
school.
have mass stabbings, lady. You have all kinds of murder.
Nothing like the same rates
Well,
here.
you can go back to your country and worry about your no guns.
That's very kind
We
of you.
like ours here.
Hello.
Hello.
Go ahead. Yes, I just want to say thank God for Joe Biden. She is an embarrassment to the state of Georgia.
Well, we all have our opinions.
Amen to that, and I've got mine.
All righty. Thank you.
And you know what? Pete Buttigieg can take his electric vehicles and his bicycles, and he and his husband can stay out of our girls' bathrooms.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and Marjorie Trainwreck Greene says Pete Buttigieg should stay out of the girls' bathrooms. It's comments like this that make me say Marjorie Trainwreck Greene should stay out of the lives of American citizens, and especially the halls of Congress. What in the hell is this circus freak talking about? And how in the hell did this freakish life form ever become a sitting member of Congress? No doubt Greene, in her own special way, to say the least, was trying to reroute a conversation into a continuing tirade about transgender bathrooms. First off, Marge, Pete Buttigieg and his husband are gay. They're not trans. So there's no scenario where they would be inclined to use a woman's bathroom. Second, it seems you have your trans hate and your homophobia crossed there. I know it's hard to keep track of these things when your entire life's work is based on hating some person, group, or thing at any given moment. But even with your blind flock of sheep, at least a few of your sentences are going to need to be complete and pass as understandable from time to time.
Yeah, and old Leah Thomas, Leah's gonna have to remember his name is William, and he needs to go back to men's swimming because we're gonna kick the biological men out of the women's sports.
This, of course, comes in the long, never-ending string of Trainwreck Greene's campaigning. When you don't actually do anything in Congress and even have the faintest idea of what the work could possibly be, Marge is left with nothing else. So we have the fine people of Georgia footing the bill to bust this train wreck around to express her hatred of people, electric cars, and bicycles in incoherent sentences. And wow, what a bargain that is. These folks must be surely glad that they voted this jackaloon in. And not surprisingly, these comments come from Donald Trump's rally, where the fearless leader of the Republican Party is still raising money to overturn the results of the 2020 election. Stupid attracts stupid, and these two take stupidity to criminal levels. This is the kind of thing that works in a crowd like that. Honestly, what kind of moron is still to this day going to Trump rallies to protest the election results and dump money into his private coffers? It's bad enough to have ever gone to one of those neo-Nazi cult gatherings, but still. It is so clear that this is a con job, and yet there are still fuckers out there wasting their lives on these losers. Wake up, people. Trainwreck Greene is an absolute picture of stupidity, and there are still people out there that cheer this anti-American psychopath. That's why I got involved in politics, because we passed by sanity many miles ago. If Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene were characters of fiction years ago, they would have been laughed off as even being plausible. Now people run campaigns off of this kind of thing.
You animal, you! Go back to the farm, you animal! They're looking for you at the sanctuary! You filthy animal! You QAnon lunatic! Hit her with the space lasers! Blast her with the fucking space lasers! Get the fuck out of New York, you racist, sick, filthy, infected animal! Get the fuck out of here!
January 5th. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, a Republican, told conservative news outlet Newsmax she chooses not to wear masks on the House floor to reflect the will of her constituents and practice what she preaches. The first-term representative, who is unvaccinated, stated, quote, "I'm up to almost $90,000 in fines on the House floor because I believe as a representative, in order to represent the people, I have to be willing to do it myself. House rules fine members for not wearing masks $500 for a first offense and $2,500 for subsequent offenses." Greene was adamant in her arguments against masks, positions contrary to that of health officials.
Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene is not smart. In fact, she provided more evidence of that, where she tweeted this. Every single year, more than 600,000 people die in the US from cancer. The country has never once shut down. Not a single school has closed. And every year, over 600,000 people of all ages and all races will continue to die from cancer. So she's trying to make a point here about how coronavirus, which is a, easily spread, very contagious respiratory virus, has led to shutdowns, which doesn't make any sense to her. But, cancer, something that is not contagious, kills 600,000 Americans every year, or people every year, and we don't have shutdowns for that. She's just so devastatingly stupid. There you have it, Jinx. Sometimes it is okay to call people stupid. In this case, I'm calling a person in a position of power stupid for constantly dunking on herself. Putting out her face looks dumb. Let's keep it real. All right, let me give you more. She says, since COVID-19's tracking has started, 780,000 people in the United States alone, by the way, have died in 22 months, but more than 1 million still died of cancer. More have died in 2021 from COVID than 2020 in spite of government-mandated widespread vaccines, mass public masking, and trillions spent. Yeah, a lot of people are dying in red states right now. If you look at the concentration of COVID deaths, most of them, unfortunately, are in red states. I would prefer if we did not have as many COVID deaths at all. But because of the disinformation that's spewed by morons like Marjorie Taylor Greene, unfortunately, people living in red states have been dissuaded from masking up or getting fully vaccinated. And there are consequences to that. People needlessly dying when there are actions they could take, steps they can take to prevent getting tremendously ill. from getting hospitalized and from dying. And she's also pushing untested drugs for treating COVID because, of course, she is. It's time to take a different approach based on the facts. COVID predominantly targets obese and older people. Shutdowns, masking, and vaccines are not stopping COVID. That is just government control. Ivermectin, monoclonal antibodies, and other treatments are saving lives. Ivermectin, of course, not proven to treat COVID or to serve as a prophylactic, and monoclonal antibodies are incredibly expensive. In fact, a family member of mine recently tested positive for COVID, was incredibly sick because she refused to get vaccinated, and had to spend $5,000 out of pocket for monoclonal antibodies. So if you've got $5,000 laying around, have